Airbnb and VRBO short-term rental investments are a great way for you to quickly create passive income that will allow you to get rich quickly and quit your job. And if you guys believe any of that stuff, then I have an oceanfront Airbnb in Arizona to sell you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. This is a thing that I see put out on a lot of social media channels and really even from a lot of the more reputable YouTubers that I've kind of started watching over the course of my short-term rental journey, my career, so to speak, is they're starting to all say this, do you want to quit your 9 to 5? Do you want to quickly build passive income? Get rich quick. But the biggest one is always quit your job. And it's just not something that is going to be able to be done relatively quickly, relatively easily, but I can understand the marketing point of that, how that attracts the clicks and that attracts what people are, really in the back of their mind, their long-term goal is to get to. And I see this as a way to kind of market to that desire that people have, even though it's not really, for the most part, possible in a very short period of time, unless you already have just a ton of money and probably don't necessarily need to work a 9 to 5 job. So today we're going to go through those three things: how to build the passive income with Airbnb, how to get rich, not necessarily quickly, but you can definitely do it over the course of time, and how you could potentially even quit your job in the long run. The one thing I ask in return is for you to hit the like button for this video and to subscribe down below so that you don't miss anything that I put out on this channel in the future. The biggest thing that I think that people get caught up in is this idea of passive income, and that somehow these Airbnb and VRBO properties are going to be like mailbox money, similar to your long-term rentals or something similar to that. But in my opinion, there is no such thing as passive income. The only thing that even comes close to passive income, in my opinion, are dividend stocks, where you basically just buy them. They pay you their 3, 4, 5, 6%, whatever they pay you, and you're going to need to have a ton of money invested into these up front in order to get a substantial amount at the back end and be able to live off of that. The IRS classifies short-term rentals and pretty much any rental activity as a passive rental activity. That is, until you start providing substantial services. And in that case, it would start moving into self-employment, which has some very serious tax ramifications. So before you guys start adding on any extras, such as like concierge service or anything that is beyond simply preparing the home for the next guest, you really need to keep an eye on that, because then it will move out of that passive activity to active. But even though the IRS classifies it as a passive activity, it is far from that, because short-term rental is real estate, such as just your traditional real estate model, but then you mix hospitality in there with it, because people are coming down to your places to spend their hard-earned time and money on a vacation. Even though you can automate a lot of these items, such as messaging with cleaners and messaging with your guests, you still are going to have a lot of interaction. You may end up having a guest that has a problem with their stay. For example, we just recently had a hot tub where the jets wouldn't come on. So not only did I have to interact with the guest, I had to find a contractor to fix the hot tub. This is on Easter weekend. It was the Saturday before Easter. I had to coordinate with that contractor, pay that person, let the guest know that everything was okay, and that took some time to do. It's not completely passive. And like I said before, there's always going to be ongoing communication with cleaners, with guests, with handymen, doing accounting, reporting income, for example, like I have to do every month in the state of Tennessee in Sevier County. There's also marketing. If you do internet marketing, such as going on Facebook groups, posting your listing, trying to get some interaction with that, checking on your pricing, and all of this is a lot different than your typical long-term rental, where you basically just market it once every couple of years to one person, and then you can kind of just put that stuff all in the background for the long haul. And any of these things that come up, like minor problems with an apartment or something like that, you do have the luxury of having a couple of days maybe to get at least something in the works for a fix on that, whereas these folks are only going to be at your places for a couple of days. And so if it's a major amenity that's not working, such as our hot tub, it is a big deal, and it makes the passiveness of this pretty much not a thing. The second biggest thing that goes along with this, and it sort of goes with that passive income stuff, is the get rich quick mentality. There is very few things that are going to get you rich quickly. The biggest one would probably just be winning the lottery, and the chances of that happening are not really good. And so in general, getting rich quick is a myth. Most people who you see out there who get rich quick, so to speak, you're only seeing the tail end of that by the time that they've blown up and that the exponential growth that they've had has finally just reached your doorstep. They probably spent 5 to 10 years behind the scenes grinding away on low numbers, such as it is on YouTube here for when you first get started, or just like any other business really. You know, when Microsoft founded Amazon, all these other companies were just getting started. You didn't hear about them, but all of a sudden they became major household names, and you are seeing the end of that. And so they are rich, but it did not come quickly. Airbnb does have the capability to make you rich and to do it quicker than most other investments. If you look at stocks, you're looking at about a 7 to 10% return on average for the total U.S. stock market, which is where I hold all of my stock holdings, is in total U.S. market funds. That's a totally different story and video for a different day. If you're into long-term rentals, you can look at about 10 to 20% cash-on-cash return if you're lucky. That's if you got something back before prices went absolutely parabolic. Now you might only be looking at 5 or 6%. But with a short-term rental, and I have several videos that I can either link here, you can look for them in the channel. I am making a total return that's going to include the cash-on-cash return, appreciation, no pay down, all these things, of over 100% in 1 year in some cases. And then again, we did buy most of our rentals in 2021. So as things go on, these numbers may change. They may get worse. They may get better as the markets go on and we kind of get out of this economic funk that we've been in. You get all of the same wealth building streams of income or channels of wealth that you do with long-term rentals, with short-term rentals, but they are just generally bigger, and you get that little bit of a bonus with that material participation, cost segregation, short-term rental loophole that I spoke about on the video that was previous to this. So go check that one out. It's about how I paid zero taxes in 2022 with short-term rental properties. Just like long-term rentals, your cash flow is going to be there. It's probably going to be a lot bigger. Instead of getting $200 a door in cash flow, you make it $1,000 to $3,000 a month in cash flow per door. Just because people are on vacation, this isn't where they live, so they're willing to pay more, especially if you have a premium property like we talk about on this channel very frequently. The properties are more expensive overall. They're higher dollar because they're in great demand and they produce a lot of income. With those larger property values, your appreciation number is generally higher. The reason is because for the same percentage of appreciation, a $200,000 house is going to have far less appreciation than a $600,000 house. If you're purchasing in one of these major vacation rental markets that's in extremely high demand, the appreciation rate is also usually higher. So if most markets are appreciating at 3% in a normal time frame, obviously this lately has not been normal, these might appreciate at 5 to 10%. And so not only are you getting more appreciation because your property costs more, but also because the rate of appreciation is higher. Note pay down is also bigger. And this is just a factor of the properties being a larger price tag on them, so your principal pay down is going to be more. For example, our 3 properties pay down about $2,000 a month, so that is about $2,000 of net worth that is being added to my total wealth column, that folks that are going there, having their vacations and paying that rent are basically putting that money in my pocket, just a note pay down. Again, the tax benefits are super with real estate. If you're on this channel, you probably know that already. They're even bigger with the short-term rental loophole in investing in short-term rentals, especially if you are materially participating and you can come up with paper losses that actually exceed the amount of revenue that you have via cost segregations and perhaps bonus depreciation. And then you can even use some of those paper losses to shelter your W-2 or 1099 income, and that comes into play even more the higher levels of income that you have. The biggest teaser out of all of this is the ability to quit your job. They always are saying you want to quit your 9 to 5, you want to get out of the rat race, get into short-term rentals, and the thing is that nobody likes getting up to go to work. I don't care how great your job is, there's always going to be a day where you would just rather stay in bed, you would rather stay home with your family, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I don't like when people try to sell someone on something, just basically just playing on their wants and dreams and their fears, and it's not really attainable just with like the click of a mouse or something like that. And so quitting your job isn't necessarily as easy as it sounds, and because If you make, let's say, $100,000 a year before taxes, that is not your total compensation. That's not the total amount of money that it takes to fund you, to run your life. That doesn't take into account what your employer may be paying into some sort of retirement account for you, your health care, or any of the other things that they pay for behind the scenes that you don't see. So what I like to say is take whatever that you make before tax, double that, and that is what you are going to need to take home in order to quit your job. That is your total compensation, and that will be, for me, the benchmark that I would look at before I would ever quit my job without being able to retire or have some sort of other funding source coming in. The reason for this is that even because a property might gross $100,000 a year, that is not the amount that you're going to be out of pocket. You're still going to have to pay all of your bills. You're going to have to pay your mortgage, all of your utilities. You have to pay your cleaners. There's going to be maintenance costs that are expected and unexpected that crop up during the year. And so the max that you are probably going to be able to take home from, let's say, $100,000 grossing property is about $30,000. Now, that doesn't include, again, your appreciation or your note pay down or all the tax shelters that you're going to get, but those things don't necessarily pay the bills, and so that money coming out of there is what you would need in order to fund your life so that you could potentially quit your job. So with all that being said, what is even the point of doing all this? Because it's going to take a lot of money to get into this in a big way. It's going to take a lot of time and effort and frustration, and so really, what's the point? The point is that in the short term, you are going to drastically increase your income. You are going to increase your wealth, your net worth. And what I would ask to you is, when is the last time that you have gotten a $30,000 raise in your job? And that's only in the cash flow portion of this. Again, you have to think about all the other things that the back end money is what I like to call it, that you're not seeing, the appreciation, the no pay down, the tax benefits that are going to drastically improve your life, that are going to give you financial flexibility. So if you don't like your job, you don't want to climb the corporate ladder, you don't have to anymore, because you have this other source of income that you can use, and you can use the money from your 9 to 5 to continue buying these things, and so that one day you can quit your job. Maybe your retirement accounts are such that you can use those and your short-term rental income and you can retire, or you just end up purchasing so many of these things that you can retire, or any combination of investments that will allow you to retire. But the one thing is that if you can get that cash flow coming out on the side, it gives you tremendous financial flexibility to sort of do what you want and have that FU money that everyone likes to talk about while you are still working 9 to 5, having them pay for your healthcare, having them match your 401k and continue to boost that up. And then long term, you will be able to get rich. You, not quickly, but you will get rich, because these things will be being paid off. They'll be appreciating in value. And, you're going to go from having nothing, essentially, when you started, to a couple $1 million worth of real estate that is being paid for by other folks. You will be able to quit your 9 to job, and you can even invest that cash flow, or, you can sell these and 1031 them into apartment complexes that have on-site management, so they become much more passive. You can go ahead and buy those passive income investments, such as dividend paying stocks that pay 5%, and you don't have to do nothing for it. But the getting there and getting from zero to quit your job is not as simple as buying one short-term rental or starting with somebody's course or anything like that. So just know that Airbnb and VRBO is not a get-rich-quick, make passive income extremely quickly and be able to quit your job 5 minutes after you've started it type of thing. If this video helped you out, hit that like button for me. It really helps it out in the YouTube algorithm. Hit the subscribe button down below. Click on the links. They tell you all about the properties that we buy, how we're managing them from afar, how we handle all of our automated messaging to try to make it as passively as possible, and the things that happen in the trials and tribulations along the way that really make it not completely passive like so many folks out there are advertising it to be. I appreciate you guys watching with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.